Hi, I'm going to start trying to read the Bible again. I'm going to start off where we left off in Matthew. I'm going to try and do it every day and do it straight after I wake up. Kind of like a forcing me to actually do this thing, which is kind of like it was always, but definitely forcing me to do this thing because I found that I can't. I'm having a lot of trouble just doing it by myself. Like I can't find the appeal to read it by myself unless I end up actually. I don't think I actually enjoy reading the Bible if I have a plan of discussing what's going on in it. So that's what we're doing. Cool. Matthew 22, parable of the wedding feast. Again, Jesus spoke to them in parables, saying, "The kingdom of heaven may be compared to a king who gave a wedding feast for his son, and sent his servants to call those who were invited to the wedding feast, but they would not come. And again he sent other servants, saying, 'Tell those who are invited, see, I have prepared my dinner, my oxen, my fat calves. They have been slaughtered, everything is ready. Come to the wedding feast.' But they paid no attention, went off, one to his farm, another to his business, while the rest seized his servants and treated them shamefully and killed them. The king was angry. He sent his troops and destroyed those murderers and burned their city. And then he said to his servants, 'The wedding feast is ready, but those who were invited were not worthy. Therefore go to the main roads and invite to the wedding feast as many as you can find.' Those servants went out into the roads and gathered all whom they found, both bad and good. So the wedding hall was filled with guests. But when the king came in and looked at the wedding guests, he saw there was a man who had no wedding garment. He said to him, 'Friend, how did you get in here without a wedding garment?' And he was speechless. And the king said to them, 'Bind him hand and foot, and cast him into the outer darkness, in a place that there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many are called, but few are chosen.'" Okay, that ending is weird, but I suppose it makes sense. Like, it wasn't just that they were invited. Like, sure, they were invited, but they weren't told they were going to a wedding. And it's kind of like, as much as like, oh, everyone's being invited, can't I actually need to look nice for a wedding? It's like, you don't know who this guy is. You should. He's invited you to a wedding. You should probably actually just turn up and actually say the correct things. I suppose another way of thinking of it is everyone was called. And you can't just come because you're called. You actually need to choose. There is a chosen part of it. And most of that chosen part of it is you actually putting in an effort. It's like you are invited. So now go put in a wedding garment if you want to actually come. Like, you don't have to come to the wedding. You kind of need to make an effort to do so. Does that make sense? You can't just go to the wedding. Like, that's extremely rude. Just even nowadays, if someone invited everyone, like, it'd be like, what? No, you need to actually put in an effort. Anyway, next part. Paying the taxes to Caesar. When the Pharisees went and plotted how to entangle him with his words, they sent their disciples to him along with the heathens and saying, "Teacher, we know that you are true and teach the way of the God truthfully, and you do not care about anyone's opinion, for you have not swayed by appearances. Tell us then what you think. Is it lawful to pay taxes to Caesar or not?" But Jesus, aware of their malice, said, "Why do you put me to the test, you hypocrites? Show me the coin for the tax." And they brought him denarius, a Roman coin. And Jesus said to them, "Whose likeness and inscription is this?" They said, "Caesar's." And he said to them, "Therefore render to Caesar the things that are Caesar's, and to God the things that are God's." And when they heard it, they were marveled, and they left him and went away. Pretty self-explanatory. Sadducees asks about the resurrection. In the same day, Sadducees came to him, and they who say that there are no resurrection, and they asked him a question, saying, "Teacher, Moses said, if a man dies having no children, his brother must marry the widow and raise up the offspring of his brother. Now, when there were 7 brothers among us. The first married and died, having no offspring, left his wife to his brother. So the second and third, and down to the 7th, all of them, the woman died in resurrection. Therefore, of the 7th, whose wife shall she be? For they all had her. But Jesus answered them, You are wrong, because you know neither the Scriptures nor the power of God. For in resurrection they neither marry nor are given in marriage, but are like angels in heaven. As for resurrection of the dead, have you not read what is said to you by God? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. He is not God of the dead, but of the living. And when the crowd heard it, they were astonished at his teaching. Okay, let's just move on because there is something there, but I don't know what it is. People have talked about it. It's a very famous passage, but I can't remember what people have talked about it. So that's not helpful. Anyway, the great commandment. Yes, this one. When the Pharisees heard he had silenced the Sadducees, they gathered together, and one of them, a lawyer, asked a question to test him. Teacher, which is the greatest commandment of the Lord? And he said to them, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, mind, and with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. And this is the first and great and first commandment. And the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. And on these 2 commandments depend all law and prophets. I've seen a lot of people say make a few jokes about you don't really need to love it. You do. You really do. It's the most important thing. I know it's hard. I know it's annoying. I know they're not always good. They're not always kind. They're not always. Sometimes they're downright horrid. But you need to love them. I'm not saying you need to like them. I'm not saying you need to be forgiving of them. Well, you do need to be forgiving, but it doesn't mean you need to be a pushover, but it does mean you need to treat them with kindness and respect despite all the badness they've caused. I also find that treating people with respect gets you a lot further than treating them with hatred. And I think the fact that Christianity took over the world is a great testament to that. It's the longest standing revolution in the fucking world. It succeeded. Christianity took over the world. And some people, and they did it non-violently. And some people might say, oh, but there was violence. It's okay, I'm sorry, the Crusades did happen, yes, and they were very violent. They also didn't work. They just categorically did not work. We know this for a fact. We literally know the Crusades did not spread Christianity whatsoever. We know they didn't work. Maybe they spread it a little bit, but they didn't really work. You know what did work? Jesus' teaching and following it, and the first and early church somehow freaking took over the entire bloody world. They did it, and they were hurt. They were hurt. They were prosecuted, and nothing was given. And they did nothing back. And that's why it worked, because that's fucking terrifying. Imagine you punching someone, they're saying, I forgive you, and giving you ice for your hand. And it's no. You're gonna be freaked out by that, okay? You punch someone, and they're like, let me give you some ice and bandage your hand that is now hurt. And it's you don't even, it's they're not even reacting to the fact that shouldn't you be reacting? You have a blood nose. And it's it doesn't hurt. And it's you have a blood nose. And they're who cares? Your hand is hurt. And it's no, that's not the way the world works. And it's it's the way my world works. It's I don't think, when people talk about kill someone with kindness, some people are that's kind of a bit of a pushover. And it's I don't think you fully understand what kill people with kindness means. Probably because you don't actually fully understand how to be kind or good. And it's you will be forthright. They are your enemy, and you are going to do everything in your power to look after them. I don't know if you know this, but there's something more terrifying than flipping someone's worldview upside down because when a bully hurts you, and I know I'm not saying I'm good at this. I'm not saying I'm brilliant at this. I'm just saying you need to try because it's a really big thing. But when someone hurts you, they don't expect your kindness to be good. They don't expect everything. because one, it limits them, it puts you in a position of power. You're basically saying their beings mean nothing. They're doing it to create power over you, and you're basically saying, I'm sorry for whatever's wrong, and I'm praying over you. And you're like, that is a terrifying thing, because it's basically immediately putting you in the position of power over them. You're doing it without words of anger or hatred or anything. And you're also saying you care about them, meaning that, like, basically any attack you made against them was so weak they do not, you physically do not care that it was made against you, and you actually care about something larger. Like, you're basically saying, I'm not just above you, I'm so far above you, you don't even really matter to me, but I'm trying to be kind, and I'm putting a persona of kind and nice, so I'm going to do that. And it's like, that is fucking terrifying to anyone whose worldview is based on strength and stuff, because you've just basically demolished it. So yeah, that's terrifying. Being kind to people who are bullies and aggressive, you destroy their worldview, basically. It isn't good. Or is it good? Maybe you can rebuild it, but, like, yeah, that's what it means to kill people with kindness, basically. It's like, treat everyone with kindness. Like, I don't care how annoying they are, but sometimes, just sometimes, you will terrify people, because their worldview is based on everyone only working for themselves and only doing stuff for themselves, and you've just disproven it, or maybe you haven't, and that makes you even more terrifying. Anyway, who is the Son of Christ? While the Pharisees are gathered together, Jesus asked them a question, saying, What do you think about the Christ? Whose son is he? They said to him, The son of David. He said to them, How is it then that David in spirit calls him Lord, saying, The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. Sorry. The Lord said to my Lord, Sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet. Then David calls him Lord. How is he his son? And no one was able to answer him a word. Not from that day did anyone dare ask him any more questions. That's pretty cool. Like, they're all asking these questions. Like, they're deliberately trying to trick him. He's just like, let's go this one. This is a fun one. And they're like, well, and none of them can even give any comprehension of answer. It's like, it's not even like, I think this, maybe? Like, I'm not entirely certain, because, like, study of the Torah is very subjective, and, like, even that there was a lot of debates and stuff, but they couldn't even come up with a single answer to the question. So yeah, like, well, can I go with an answer to the question? Yeah, kind of, maybe. No, actually, no, I can't. I don't think the question is supposed to be answered. I think it's a misunderstanding of certain things. I suppose the answer to the question is David. Isn't his son? Well, like, he isn't the son of David. Well, he is obviously the son of David, but in the same way, he's also the son of Abraham and Isaac and stuff. And it's like, this is a son. Being a son of represents the fact that he is descended from that line, that genealogy, and also is a good representation of the fact that he is man. He is from Earth, but it's basically, but that he's also on a much larger part, also the Son of God. So it's like, he is what he is king. He is God. But it's more just saying he is I suppose it's a way of saying he is reincarnated as a human. He is, like, fully human, just as much as he is fully God. So basically, the answer is he's not the son of God. Like, saying he is the son of David, but he's not just the son of David is the best way of saying that. So anyway, that's a lot. The sermon yesterday talked about different things, but one of its main messages was, as Christians, we're just not going to fit in, and that's something we need to accept and move on and just allow things that don't make us fit in, and as we live our questioning lives, that they'll point back to God. So that's fun, considering my last video and the title of that. But oh well. It's also good because it means maybe I've been doing it for a really long time, but also I don't know if I necessarily have. I'm just maybe weird, but at least my witness isn't bad. Yay! So anyway, that was that. Hopefully we'll do this more. I'm supposed to start at 7:30. I mean 6:30, but I start at 7, so hopefully I'll wake up earlier in the future. Yep, trying to just is the moment I wake up. Really good start to the day, hopefully. Anyway, bye.